Hey everybody, this is Rabbit. Welcome back. Today we're going to be taking out the good old M1A1 AIM. And interestingly enough, when this dropped, some people were like offering the idea that it was like the best Abrams. And personally, this is definitely not my favorite. It's actually, if you look at the Abrams family, the AIM is the heaviest out of the 10.7 to 11.0 Abrams. It doesn't have the best shell. In fact, it has one of the worst shells. Like, the only Abrams in that family that has, like, a weaker shell is actually the IPM1 that has a much faster reload. It does have some pretty good turret armor on the front face, but nothing, like, too crazy. It's really just the thermals. It's the only reason why people were saying it was the best Abrams. I don't hate it. I don't love it. But this did end up being a fairly good game. The Abrams as a family, I don't know, this guy put himself in a really weird position, so I'm trying to like get out of his way, hitting a palm tree. So some nice little hijinks to start off this map, but it does end up being a pretty good map. But when they first announced this, I was like, that's kind of weird because, you know, at 10.7 Abrams, there was 3 10.7s and an 11.0, and now there's 4 10.7s because they moved the A1 up. So this is kind of a weird... Like, it was just, like, a weird addition to me, but I guess, like, they're doing squadron vehicles for all of the big three at 10.7 now, because you have the AIM, you have the UK, and you have the PL, so, sure, whatever. If you were to ask me, is this worth the squadron points, I mean, if you already have the 5 tech tree Abrams around this VR, all you're really getting from this is Gen 2 thermals. The shell it has, as you are going to see in this game, it definitely works, but it's not anything overly impressive. The armor is also not really anything overly impressive. Like, I mean, it's what you would expect from an Abrams. The turret cheeks can stop shells, and that's about it. You do have the blowout panel, so you will survive the first shot pretty frequently. This PL was not paying any attention. Or no, he was paying attention. That's one of the ones that was paying attention. But he hits our upper plate, it bounces into our driver's board and bounces off, so... Usually when people reflex shots like that, yeah, this is where I see a teammate die in this direction, so I'm actually worried there's a BVM coming around behind us. But usually when you get shots like that, if they aim like a hair higher, they hit the gap under the turret but above the hull. And if they hit there, it almost always knocks you out or kills you, so... We got lucky that he shot a little low there. Then again, reflex shots at a distance, if you're just trying to hit that gap, sometimes it's a little annoying. It's also a Leopard PL, so it's possible he was a less experienced player. Anywho. So we're still kind of skulking around here, because I thought that I could have sworn I look at this awning and I think it's a gun barrel, and I'm like, oh, it's an awning. I'm so paranoid because I think there's so many enemies in this area. It turns out there actually are quite a few of them, but that awning was in fact not an enemy. I'm like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And this ends up being actually a pretty good game, despite the fact that it's starting out pretty slow. I'm like, okay, so our team is moving up on B, we have some map position on A. We don't have any map position in front of me, which is why I'm kind of holding for my teammate to advance, and I'm like, alright, I'll move up with him. And here's where I see this exchange of gunfire, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see what we can do to help this. And I almost make a really bad mistake right here. I'm like, okay, there's somebody around the corner, they're firing, they're focused on our teammate. Oh crap, there's 2 of them. Like, we knock out the Leopard. Fortunately, that guy the T-80 was still on reload. And the T-80U gets caught by our teammate, which is really lucky because his T-80B actually didn't see us. So the T-80B, like, here I'm just kind of holding the angle, waiting to see what happens with this. But, like, it actually does end up being relevant that the T-80U got knocked out by our teammate because the T-80B just did not realize we were there. So, it's another kill. Up to 3. And here I'm kind of like, trying to get an idea of what's around this corner. I actually didn't see that Leopard initially. For some reason, the shadow it didn't like show up. Here I'm like, doo-doo-doo-doo. But as far as the aim and like whether or not you should get it, I don't know. Like, it's a lot of squadron points. It's a lot of silver. Here's where I see my teammate just die behind me, and I'm like, oh hey, probably do something about that. This is where, like, map awareness becomes a thing. So I'm like, they're probably not in that direction, so we'll check out here. And there he is, Ariete PSO. Kind of feel bad for killing a PSO. It's like killing somebody's dog. Like, they're so bad. Like like, it's not completely unusable, but it has no advantages against something like an Abrams or a TADU or a Leopard 2A6 or really anything at top tier at this point. So I'm like, all right, well, we don't have a huge amount of teammates, but I think in a second here, our teammates actually do end up like marking the area around the corner. So I'm like, all right, I'll just hold this, see if anybody tries to push A. But our teammates actually start marking the area around the corner from me in like a few seconds. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess we'll push up because our teammate is definitely going spawn right now. But as far as the Abrams family, they're not the fastest. Like, they have decent acceleration. They are not the most powerful in terms of their guns, but they do generally have good guns, and their guns do work. And here's where I hear somebody. I'm like, there is somebody coming. Like I was gonna, like, peek the corner, but then I hear the audio cue, and I'm like, there is 100% somebody over there. There's also, like, again, map awareness is also just checking your map, but also listening for stuff like this. So, easy enough. Then here, I'm actually immediately pressing. Like, take a bit of a peek first, see if we see anything. But we're pressing fairly quickly, because I'm like, if there is anybody here, I want to surprise them. Here, he actually bounced off of our, like, left hull, but, like, I got his loader, so I have a reload on him. So, easy kill. Like, the only reason I just stayed there is because I knew I had his loader. And because I have his loader, like, my reload's gonna beat his. I have a full crew. And here I'm like, we're up to 6 kills, no deaths. Our team is doing really well, so that also helps. And here we see this 2S6 just, like, wander out. Easy enough. Spoiler, we don't get any other kills for the remainder of the map. Yeah, most of the squadron vehicles, it really is just up to personal preference whether or not you get them, because all of the countries that have those squadron vehicles have equivalent or better vehicles in their respective tech trees, so the AIM in particular, like, the USA has 4 10.7 Abrams. This isn't really anything exceptional other than the Gen 2 thermals, so yeah, it's up to you. Overall, I mean, a 7 kill no death game, playing it pretty cautiously. This isn't even fully upgraded either, but we do have the top shell, so I hope you enjoy it. Have a nice day, everybody.